Hello everyone, and welcome to the second session of the AI Dev Series. I'm so glad that you are here today with us. And I'm saying it us, so I know you're only seeing me, but today I have joining us Darragh from AWS. Darragh, how are you?
I'm good, thank you, Bruno. I just want to make sure you can hear me properly. Everyone can hear me. My name is Darragh. I'm a partner solution architect at AWS. I've been at AWS for about 5 years, and I have a background in development, systems architecture, data analytics, and I've been working with OutSystems for about 2 years now. So I'm privileged to be able to help out with the Dev series, and thanks for inviting me.
No, we are the ones to thank you. So the session today is about AI services in AWS. We will talk a little bit also about other services right there. The idea for this is to inspire all of you to understand what kind of services you can leverage in AWS using the OutSystems components. So Darragh, I think you have a presentation for us, right, on what our AWS has. So go ahead.
Okay, thanks, Bruno. So I just want to make sure you can see my screen, which is good. There you can. Okay, so that's cool. So today we'll talk a little bit about how developers can quickly develop, build, and run end-to-end solutions on OutSystems with AWS and AWS components, right? We'll see how the platform combines with our infrastructure, some data and analytics services, applied AI services, and Gen AI services to get a solution up and running in the quickest time possible. So let's get started. Let me just move this over here. So this is a brief overview of some of the things we'll cover in this session. We'll do some brief assumptions and some scope. We'll look at how to use the AWS services in your OutSystems applications. Because it's AI and Gen AI, of course, we'll look a little bit about one of the connectors, which is also Amazon Bedrock, but we won't go into that too deeply because we do have another session coming up later on, which will deep dive on Bedrock and Gen AI and Agent Builder and a whole bunch of other ways to do that. And then we'll look at OutSystems apps and AWS data analytics and how you can use AWS to get extra value out of the data that's generated during your generated by the OutSystems applications. Right. So some of the assumptions that we'll run with here is that because this is the dev series and there's some hackathons and so on coming up, one of the assumptions is that you're already familiar somewhat with OutSystems application development, and that you have a specific use case in mind already. We're not going to be going into specific use cases here and how you implement those use cases either with AI or with applied AI or the Gen AI services. But we will show you how to use the building blocks so that you can stitch those building blocks together in order to realize the use case that you would already have in mind yourself for your own development. The other assumptions are that you will have an OutSystems account available. And that there is an AWS account available. So we won't cover how to set those up here, but talk to your OutSystems account administrator about how to get these set up for your development team in order that you can get started. So how does it work? How can developers use AWS services within their OutSystems applications? Well, actually, it's a hell of a lot easier than you would imagine. At the base level, I mean, under the hood, that is, OutSystems is such a flexible developer platform. You can just integrate with the AWS SDK for .NET. And that would allow you then to access any of the range of API-based services that AWS provides, simply by providing your credentials. I won't go into details on how to cut and paste that in there now. Maybe there'll be a demonstration of that. But this is how things work under the hood. But of course, you want to get moving a little bit more quickly, right? And to focus on application features more than digging into the API documentation. So OutSystems have made available a number of ready-made and supported components that accelerate your developer productivity. And these are some of the things we're going to look at in the next couple of slides. So the OutSystems team, they published two types of ready-made integrations, which makes things easier. And those are components and accelerators. So components allow developers to integrate one-to-one with an AWS service. And accelerators are kind of ready-made application templates, which have got some of these one-to-one services stitched together in a template, which demonstrates how those things can be done. And we can have a little bit of a look at some of these now. There's quite a few components available. There are more components available by the developer community in the Forge, but you can see that these components have got this little green badge, which means they're supported by OutSystems. And if there's one supported by OutSystems, it could be good to take these because you'll be able to leverage OutSystems support in order to make sure that it's been used properly or that it's functioning properly. And you can see that there are base services here like Amazon S3 and notification services, but also some super interesting services around language-based like text-to-speech and translate. This list of components continues to grow, and we expect even more services to be added to this list in the near future. And we will cover Gen AI and the Bedrock connector also. So we'll just kind of run through one or two of these services. Now, I'm not going to go through them all, but you can see here we've got Amazon S3. If you're not familiar with AWS services, if you're familiar with AWS services already and all of these, then you know this might not be something new to you. But if you're not familiar with AWS services, it could be good to understand specifically what each one of these might be and how it would fit into your overall use case, how it would fit into the AI use case, and how you might use that, stitch that together, or wrap around the Gen AI connectors, which we'll talk about later on. So Amazon S3 is our object storage, and this is offering industry-leading scalability, availability, security, and performance. And this service can often be the entry point and the exit point for data, video, text, whatever it is that you might be sending to AWS services or receiving back as a response. It's also an area where you would store the data coming out of your application for onward processing by other AWS services. So this is one of the first services that you'll probably end up using. Amazon Textract, and we may see a little bit of that later on, is a machine learning service, and it automatically extracts text, handwriting, layout elements, data from scanned documents, PDFs, and so on. And it goes beyond simple OCR, right? So it'll help to understand very specific data from documents. We also have a Kinesis video streams connector. And this is, with this service, you can build applications for monitoring, fraud detection, anything that involves analyzing video streams in real time. And it can be extremely useful if you're doing video calling, for example, and we'll talk about that when we come to the accelerators. Another applied AI service that's available through a straightforward connector is Amazon Recognition. And this allows customers to analyze images, streaming, and stored video all within seconds. And the service offers pre-trained and customizable computer vision capabilities, and that extracts information and insights from those images and videos. So think if you want to see people with hard hats on, or recognize cars or dogs or objects or whatever it might be that you need to recognize within the video or the image, Amazon Recognition is the service that you're going to be interested in using. Another of the language services is Amazon Transcribe, and this will convert speech to text from your calls, video files, or clinical conversations with transcribed medical and a hell of a lot more. We also, if you want to do translation, Amazon Translate. If you need to do translation, and you know, we'll see some of that as well. It's a neural translation service that delivers fast, high quality, affordable, and customizable language translations. We also have Lex, and Lex is our service for building conversational interfaces or chatbot type interfaces using voice and text. And this is the service that powers the Amazon Alexa virtual assistant. And the last one that's kind of AI based, well, the others are infrastructure based also, the queuing and the notification service connectors that you can see here. But the last AI and the deep learning based service that we've got is Polly. And this is a technology that synthesizes natural sounding human speech so that you can convert articles to speech. And it has dozens of lifelike voices and a broad set of languages, and you can use this when you're building speech-powered applications.
So there, you can say that there's a service for everything, right?
There's a service for everything, and these are the components that are well, one service that is missing here that we're constantly being asked about is missing. Yeah, there's a service for everything, and these are the pre-built components that will allow you directly access, one-to-one with those services without necessarily, importing the SDK and digging into the APIs. If you can also interact with any of the other services, of course, by bringing in the SDK, putting in your keys, and then, calling the API and doing that as a normal part of the development workflow. But these components here are designed to accelerate your development, and they'll be particularly good when you want to do things quickly. Yep.
Yeah, I think we'll see that later. Thanks.
Yeah. They're components, and those components are one-to-one with each service, right? So you want to store something in S3, you use the S3 component. You want to translate something, you will send some text to translate and get it translated. At this time, there are also these concepts of accelerators, and accelerators are stitching these components to one, taking the output from one and putting it into the other, which allows you to create a more complex, sort of higher order workflow. So for example, here we have this multilingual chatbot application, and this allows a user to communicate with the bot through the Amazon Lex service in order to book a hotel. Now, in the event that the bot is not able to respond to a certain request, the user can speak to a human agent who will enter the chat, but the human agent will be able to communicate with the user regardless of the language, because the translation is automatically done in real time through Amazon Translate. So this shows how you can stitch the services together and then create a template application that you could then copy and paste and then use in your own applications, and then swap out the services or just swap out the endpoints and swap out the AWS account that's being used under the hood. And all the while, these applications, of course, they're gathering data and storing it in the cloud, and that data then can be used by downstream services. And we'll see some of that at the end. And you can, of course, then run some machine learning on the data that your application is generating all this time. So this being an AI and a Gen AI focus, we can't go through this without mentioning the fact that there is an Amazon Bedrock for Gen AI connector in OutSystems applications. And this allows you to implement any one of a number of different models. So if you want to implement a Claude from Anthropic, for example, to do multimodal reasoning or image to text or some writing or coding, you can use Anthropic. If you want to generate images using Stable Diffusion, the Amazon Bedrock connector will allow you to do this also. And of course, Amazon, we have our own models. And if you want to use a Titan, there's a summarization, image, text generation, search, questions and answers. All of these are also available within the Amazon Bedrock connector within the OutSystems platform. As I mentioned already, now we can share these slides, of course, and all of these resources be made available. And this is available on the Forge. But the details of this and how to use this and some of the additional use cases we'll go into in more detail in the next session. this session, what we really wanted to do was to show you, because usually Gen AI are using Amazon Bedrock or using one of the things. It's not the application in itself. There's usually a use case behind it, and you may need to wrap that up. For example, doing text to speech to output the result of a summarization. That can be a good use case. So I just wanted to show some of the other services that you may wrap around these Gen AI services. Yeah, so just to be aware that these are available. There are other things like Agent Builder and all of that, so we'll talk about that more in the next session. So all the while your application is running, you're going to be generating data. And one of the big challenges enterprises face when they're doing that is how to gather all that data with its telemetry, business or application related data, and turn that into meaningful insights so you can find out what's going on inside your application. Not just that, whether it's doing what it's doing, if people are using it correctly, what features are they not using, and so on. And to do that kind of a deep dive and extract more meaning from the data generated from the application, it can be good to put that into an analytic workflow. And this is where the integration with OutSystems also adds additional value for AWS developers. So by extending your OutSystems platform on AWS, you have a bunch of downstream services that will allow you to convert those to tables, get business intelligence reports with Amazon QuickSight, maybe do some batch processing, or as I mentioned before, use SageMaker to train and run your own models or create your own documentation. And there's more. Yeah, there's a whole list of services. And of course, all of these services, as Bruno mentioned, they're also available through the API if you want to use the SDK, because these services are all usually API first. So, if you want to go under the hood and you don't want to use the components that are available, or you want to do something more directly, there's also that flexibility, and that's the flexibility that OutSystems platform actually is going to give you. So as our CTO, Werner Vogels always likes to say, now it's your turn, now go and build. And of course, we're here to help you. So please feel free to reach out to us anytime. And hopefully that's been a very brief introduction to how to use the availability of AWS services on OutSystems, how to use it, and what the next steps should be. So I'll hand you back to Bruno, who may even have something to show you.
Yeah, it was great, Darragh. Thank you. So at least my takeaway, and hopefully everyone's takeaway on this, is that there are a lot of services. So it's important that we can understand what each service does, right? And then how to glue this all together, like you were saying, in a bigger use case, right?
Exactly. It can be a bit daunting when you look. I don't know if you've, and I didn't show it here, I don't know if you've seen that diagram of AWS. It's got all of those like logos and services and all that. That can be quite scary. But it's good to be able to pick out the main ones. And the ones we're interested here are the applied AI services, the text-to-speech, the polys, all those ones, the recognitions, and the Gen AI, and then how to stitch them together into an overall workflow. And I think the accelerator is a good example of that. And I think you've got some other examples that will be of use to OutSystems developers. Yeah.
I actually have a confession to make. Do you know, I didn't knew until recently what S3 stands for. Where it came the 3, right? S3, but now, well, it's the name itself. It has 3 S's, right? So I had to confess that I didn't know that. I was so used to to the S3. I had to publicly admit I didn't know where that S3 name came from.
Yeah. Well, let's keep that a secret then.
Yeah, between just the two of us, right?
Yeah.
Okay. So thank you for this introduction. I will now take it from here. So what I will try to do now is I'm going to select a small subset of what you've shown and show on the OutSystems side how to use that. Okay, so why we'll be doing. So I will talk about the connectors. You've done an intro, and I'll talk about the one specific connector. Also explain how to do the connectors setup. And in the end, an hands-on demo. I think it's always good to show this running. Let's talk about the connectors. So the connectors that we have are the ones that you are showing us. On the green ones here, or the dark green ones you can see, are the ones that are related with AI services. The others are the other that you can use because these components already exist, of course. And this is available on Forge. And my next slides will focus on Textract. Okay, so the Textract connector, it has these 6 actions, but you can see that they are can be grouped into groups. Okay, so one is to analyze documents. So for example, if you have invoices, and other if you to find text inside images. Now, the one that I want to focus, because it's going to be then used on the demo, it's the detect document text. Okay, so this is an action that we can use, that will use Textract or Textract service. In a synchronous way, you send an image and you get the text that can be found in that image. So the input, this is a very simple action. The input parameters are AWS credentials, meaning the region, we will talk about that, the access key ID, and the secret access key. Besides that, of course, you need to send the binary file, that needs to be analyzed. And as an output, we are going to have a result, and this result is a structure, and that structure has the complete AWS Textract document text detection response. I'll go into the details of what these services or what these parameters are, but just to show, so in this case, very simple, you get credentials and an image, and you get a result structure with the result of what was detected. Now, in a little bit more complex situation, what we can do is, without not using synchronous, but using asynchronous text detection. So to do this, since it's asynchronous, we will need 2 different actions. So the first one will be this one, will be the start document text detection. So this one is used when you want to start a job that will do this text detection in an image. Now here you can see now the services connecting because we have AWS credentials, as you can see here in the input parameters, but we have also the file key and the bucket name. So here it is, the famous S3 service. So we need to give the key of the file that's stored on S3 and the bucket name. So to use this service in a synchronous way, you need first to access the S3 service, and inside the bucket, upload the file there, and that's what needs to be used. Now, when you do this, the response will be very simple. So we're just going to receive a job ID. So since it's asynchronous, you get an acknowledge when you say start to process this image that's on AWS S3, and you'll get back the job ID, that is the ID of the job that is running, that you need to use then to query for the results. Now, how do we do this? We can use another action, so the get document text detection. In this case, we are going to send the AWS credentials, the job ID that we receive from the start, and the next token. So next token, I will talk about what this means, but since we can have multiple pagination in the responses, we need to provide what is the next token that we want in order to get all the information from the text extraction. In both cases, the result will be a structure that will contain with the response. Okay. So again, just to summarize here, we can have a request that is synchronous. That was the first one, get text, the information. And then we have the asynchronous method that we need to use two actions. One to start and another one to get the result. So looking at the result, okay, so in both services, the get document text detection and the detect document text, the structure is similar in these three first blocks, if I want to say, because the first one is called blocks. We will go through a little bit more detail. We will get the text model version that was used and some metadata about the document. But when we use the get document text detection, we will get the job status. We will get the next token. So if the response needs to be in several chunks, we will get the information about what is the next token. So we can call again with that next token as input parameter. And if we have errors, we will receive that in the status message, and also a list of warnings if there is any warnings available. Okay. Now going to at least the interesting part for the result, that is the blocks. Okay, so the blocks, they're actually consisting an array of block objects. Okay, that brings a lot of information, and the most important information is this one. So the block type, meaning so you send an image, and the service will look for parts of the image where we have text, and we'll extract the text from there. Now this block type will give us the information of where that block is. So if it is a page, or if it is on a line, or in a word. So typically words are inside lines, right? So if you want, you can get all of the text that is in one line, but if you want, you can get word by word. So other thing is the confidence. Another valuable result is the confidence. So this is a number that goes from 0 to 100. That is the confidence of the model that is doing the text recognition. So when you get the result, and this is typical in machine learning models, is to get the result, but the confidence level. So if we have a low confidence level, maybe it's better not to use that text than usually using a wrong text here. So besides this, we also have the geometry. What does this mean? So it's a group of information that gives the points in the image, the coordinates where that text was found. So imagine that you want to highlight it, with a rectangle. We can do that using the geometry. Okay. And in the end, you will get the final text. Okay. So I will show this in a little bit. I will show this in the demo, I will do that. I think we can go through all of this information in the blog because we will need that for the demo. So. Well, one of the things before going more on detail here, okay, just let me ask you for 10 seconds of your time, okay, and I'm just gonna ask something here to Darragh about this service. So Darragh, I'm thinking about using this service. This service, do you have any idea how long? Is it been? It's probably one of the first ones. At least I know that Textract exists for a long time, right?
Yeah, Textract is one of the earlier sort of applied AI services that we implemented at AWS. It's not as old as S3, of course, because S3 was the first service that we came out, but it's been around for a good number of years now. Well before all of the Gen AI stuff that's come out now, this is one of the one of the first services that we provided. As we grouped them as a sort of applied AI group of services. So your recognition, comprehend, Textract, transcribe, and this was one of the first services that we provide, and it has evolved as well.
Okay, yeah, okay. So because it's doing OCR, right?
It's doing, yes, it's doing OCR, but it's not just limited to OCR. You can specify, for example, areas and forms, and it will extract specific characteristics of data depending on the parameters that you give. It would take quite a while for us to go into the full API here, but we can make the API available. And the idea is that if you already know the structure of the document, for example, that you're putting in, you know it's an invoice, then you'll know that you've got lines, an address in the top left-hand corner, and you've got a form underneath with rows. You can kind of help to prompt it to do more than just the OCR, and it will extract some tables of data for you if that's what you need to do.
Okay,
Yeah.
okay. So moving on, right?
Works now.
Yeah. so moving on. Well, just to show what I don't know if the slides that I have are the ones that are being shown, but we have well, I had a response here for an example of a response to show, so people could see this a little bit more clear. So maybe I can talk about a little bit about the connector setup. Okay, so whenever we need to use these connectors, right, we need to, if you noticed, we always have the AWS credentials, right, as an input parameter. Okay, so what this means is that to use these services, not only we need to have an AWS account, right, but we need to have access to the services. Now, one of the things that we need is we need to have the region to be used, and also we need to have the access key. I don't think that people are seeing the slides that I'm talking about, so give me a second. Let me stop sharing and restart sharing. Okay. So we can see, if you can see what I'm seeing. Okay, let me just share here the screen again. Give me a second so I can find the button. Yeah, so let me share again, really quick. Yeah. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
And you're seeing it, right?
Yeah.
Okay. So like I was saying, so we have the AWS credentials, right? We will need to have the region, the access key ID, and the secret access key. So the region, the importance of the region is depending where the services are deployed and where you want to use them. You need to specify that region. So there's a small, this link will then be provided to you. So depending on the region that you want to use, you need to use one of these strings to specify which is the region where you want to access your services. Now, another thing is the access key and the secret access key. So, by the way, just going back on the region, it's very important to know something, that is not all services are available in all the regions, right? Darragh, confirm if that's true or not.
Yeah, it is true, because as new regions come on board, then the primary services are the first to be implemented in those regions, and then after a certain time, additional services are rolled out. But also, when we introduce a new service, for example, let's say the Bedrock service, it would start off in the primary regions, and over time it would evolve. We would roll it out over to the others. So it's not just a big bang. So it's important, yeah, to check that the service that you want to use, in this case, Textract, is available in the region that you're looking for. Textract is a widely used service, and it's likely to be available in most regions, except maybe some maybe some of the newer ones. But yeah, it's going to be available in most, I would imagine.
Right. So I wanted to share that there's also a page available where you can check, depending on the region where you are, where are the services that are available there. Now, the access key and the secret access needs to be configured in the AWS console. And here we will get that information. You can create new access keys. One thing that I just want to highlight here is that the secret key is something that you can only see once. So you need to store it safely because then you won't be able to recover it later. Now, with this being said, I think it's time, to see this working. We are going to do using one application that is the shopping helper. So it's basically a shopping list application where you have your items and then you can go shopping. My idea was taking this application and make it a little bit more interesting. What do you think, Darragh?
Yeah, I don't know what you have in mind. This shows you that this is live, so.
Okay. So let me show you here really quick. So this is the application. Let me zoom this a little bit. So it's just a simple list where you can, select your products and it puts you on the list, right? Something like this. And then you go shopping, you just swipe it and it just crosses off the list, okay? Now, very simple application, right? What I was thinking is, since we're talking about Textract as a use case that I actually have at home, that is, usually when we're missing something that needs to go for shopping, we write it down on a Post-it and we put it on the fridge, right? So my idea was, to enhance this application, using the application, to take a picture, probably to that Post-it, trying to analyze what's there, to get the information that I need for my shopping list. At least that will be faster than using the drop downs or something like this. What do you think?
Yeah, it sounds good. It wouldn't work from my writing, though. I can't read it.
Well, maybe we'll be surprised, right? So, okay, so we have a tab for shopping list. Okay, now we are in Service Studio. Let's just add another tab. We're calling like the Inspire Me tab. And now what I'm going to do is I'm going to get a button, and I'll just drag and drop this button here. And I'm going to say, choose a picture, or take a picture, not choose, sorry. Take a picture. And what I'm going to do with this is I'm actually going to add a little space here so it can breathe. Margin base, okay. So when I click this, I want to take a picture with my application. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to use the camera plugin, and I'm going to get a picture, okay, or use an already existing picture. And what I want to do is I want to show that in the screen, so I'm sure that I know what I'm doing. Okay, so I got here the set picture, and after this, maybe what I want to do is to send this to Textract. So I'm going to use our components, and on Textract, I'm going to I'm selecting all. It's faster like this. I'm going to, use the detect document text. Okay. So what I'm going to do, as you can see, so I need to fill up here my credentials. So I already have these credentials stored in a place that I'm not going to expose them here to everyone. Okay. So I'm gonna add this here. So I've got this, and I've got AWS client key ID. Maybe it's not the name, right? It's access key ID. And I'm going to do also client. Maybe it's faster like this. Secret key. Okay. Now the file, what I'm going to send in the file is going to be what's in the picture because it's already here. Now we know this might take a little bit here, right? So let's do something. Let's go here, and let's add here a container. Below this, okay, where we can show a loading, right? List updating, okay, and then below that, I think what we can do is we can say something like AWS, Textract is working, something like that. Okay, let's just center the content here, and let's give it a little room to breathe, right? Okay, and well, all of these we can enclose here in a container, and I want this to be shown right while we are sending this to Textract. So I'm going to say is processing. And now I'm going here to the container, and this container is only visible if is processing, okay? Now, one of the things that I want also to have in my screen, it's my picture, right? So I'm just going to drop down my picture here, and let me put it in here, and just have it here. So here we go. We now have all of these, right? So again, let's here take the picture. Put is processing as true, right? So we can show the loading, but that loading. Okay, so show loading, right? We're going to do that, and now we'll get the response. And now with the response, if you recall from what I was showing, or at least what I was talking about, we will get the information in blocks, right? So I'm going to do a for each here, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to get the result, and I'm going to get the blocks. Okay, so with each block, okay, what am I going to do? So first thing, I'm going to check. I only want to get, you know, the words that I have. Sorry, the lines, because maybe in one line I can have multiple words, right? So I'm going to check, you know, from the result, the blocks, the current, the block type, the value. I'm going to check if it is on the block type, it's going to be a line, right? So it makes sense having a line, because I don't, some words I can have multiple words in the same line, and I don't want, you know, to bring something wrong, because I think it's two words, and actually it's just two words connected, and it's, and I can bring something wrong. So is it a line? If it is, okay, what am I going to do? I'm going to check, remember, I'm going to check the confidence level, because imagine that we detect something in the image that is not with a high value of confidence, right? So I don't want that, right? So I want to say if confidence is bigger than 50, so confidence, okay, bigger than 50, okay, if it is, then what I'm going to do is I'm going to add, you know, I have my shopping items here, my list of shopping items, and I'm going to add the result of that text, okay? So the blocks, the current block, and we'll get the text, okay? And now with this, I will have, so this comes false, so false, right? Only if it is a line, only if my confidence is bigger than 50, then I'm going to add to the list. And after this, well, all I need to do is, you know, hide the loading. So just going to hide the is processing, just going to say it's false now, and hide loading. And here we go, right? Let's publish this, and let's see what happens. So just a quick recap, right? what we will be doing is we had an application, right, where we needed a drop down to insert all of the items on the shopping list. And now what we have is something that can use the camera on the phone, and scan for a photo and use the text that is in that photo, to get us the ingredients. So here we go. Let's just refresh this. So we are already on the new version. We can see the new tab here, and I'm going to take a picture here. Now that picture, I've took this from my refrigerator, right? And it is a list, and actually has a little smiley here, and text extract is working. And in the end, well, we should have had here the result with the shopping list. Okay, so let's never fear. Let's going to debug this. Okay, so let's add a breakpoint here. Let's run this in debug, right? And let's see what is happening here. Now this is going to launch the platform, the browser here for the debug. Let's do it again. Take the picture on desktop, on the show. Where is the shopping? Oh, I have so many things here. Shopping helper. Here we go, and it's working. And let's see. Okay, it's already here, and well, we can see on the, let's see what's on the shopping items. Oh, okay, and it's here values. Okay. Now the problem, right, is that if you see, it's in Portuguese. I'm sorry for the non-Portuguese readers, but what's in the list? Well, it's in Portuguese, so it's ovos, it means eggs, milk, juice, and this is actually wrong, but it should mean toilet paper in English, okay? So we got this in Portuguese, right? That's why it wasn't working. So, Darragh, any suggestions to take me out of this trouble?
Well, I mean, we can always add the component for translate. That would do it, right?
Okay, let's do that. I think I have that here installed. So, so what I'm going to do, it's actually I'm going to use the translate. Okay, just add everything. And well, what I could do, right, inside of each block, I could translate the text, but let's not do that. Let's do it a little bit differently. So this goes to the end, right? Now, what we can do is, we can serialize that list. Okay, so we're going to serialize my shopping items list. It will create an array, right? And this will be products, right, in PT, right? And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to translate the text. And so again, the credentials. Let's put it here, right? Really quick. Client region. Access key. No, sorry. It's no. It was not region. So here is the region. This is the access key. I'm sorry. And on the secret key, I'm going to use, I don't know if I'm there, so let me just close this, client dot secret key. Okay. I have my credentials again. So on the request or the mandatory, I need to get the source language. So I'm going to say this is PT, right? And I want to translate this to English. So I'm going to just come here and just say I want this to English, right? And the text will be the JSON that I got from the product. So JSON, it only, right, it's text, and then it has brackets and quotes, so double quotes, so I don't think we should have a problem there. So I'm going to translate. And after translating, I should have the array, right? So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to, deserialize the string that comes from the translated, and I'm just going to say it's a list of text again. Okay, so with this, I'm only doing this one time. So again, let's publish this. So we are going to detect the text in the image. We're going to just check what's there and use the things that have confidence bigger than 50, appending, and then we're going to, serialize. We're going to translate, and I forgot something. Aha. Now, I got the deserialized here, but I need to assign.
Back onto your screen, right?
Yes, exactly. So the shopping items will be what comes from here. Okay, so in this, it's always good to review the flows. I think this time we should have it, right? So let's get back here. Let's close this one. So let's just refresh this, new version available. Inspire me, take a picture. Let's use this one. So Textract will be working, right? And don't come back home without. Let's hopefully this works. And okay, with eggs, milk, juice, and toilet paper. So it's actually, for the non-Portuguese speaking, it's ovos eggs, leite is milk, sumo is juice, and papel higiênico, it's toilet paper. Okay?
Nice.
And yeah, that's it. So in this use case right there, we managed to connect, like we were saying, right, during the session, we managed to connect services because all of this only makes sense. The real use cases in life make sense when you need to connect different services, right?
Exactly. I mean, and this is built from scratch, right? End to end from scratch. The only thing you had prepared was the image.
Yeah, exactly. I took it. Yeah. I could have done it on the phone, but it was yeah. So it's a matter of using these services, you know, to enhance applications that we already have existing, with these services that provide the power of these models, right, into our applications.
Absolutely.
For those who are wondering, this picture, right, the picture that I used, it's the post-it, it's mine. The writing, the handwriting is also mine, and it was my refrigerator. I didn't ask his permission, you know, to be here on the on this session, but I don't think the refrigerator will mind. Okay, so we have a question. How did you link the translated words with the images? Oh, okay. Well, yeah, I can show that. So, really quick. What I have is I have a list here. Okay, let me show you quick the list. The input parameter of the list is the shopping items. Okay, and inside each row is a block. And in this block, what you have is I have ingredients in the database, right? I have this ingredient database. That was the one that was feeding the dropdown. And basically what I'm getting on my item is that I'm getting that ingredient by name. That's why it didn't work when the words were in Portuguese, because it wouldn't do a match here. And that's why we needed to translate to English, so it would make a match here with the data that we have in our database, okay?
So a small database of ingredients matched to icons.
Yes. So it has a little bit of preparation of creating that table with the product. I'm calling it ingredients, but it's products. As you can see, I've reused some data from other demos. Yeah, it's just a matter of having data bootstrapped in your. In this case, I had this data bootstrap on the database. Of course, again, this is a demo, right? So in a real life application or a solution, you would need to have a little bit more, like you need to extract some way to make sure that ingredient, that product with the product you have in a database. So doing matches by name, I know it's not the most accurate in the world, but I think it can show the potential here of the components, because the goal for the application or the demo, it's not to show best practices, but to inspire and to show what you can do, you know, with the components.
Yeah, I think it's a really good foundation, especially going into the next session, you know, where you'll be able to stitch these things together then with the Gen AI, and it's a really powerful proposition as to you can build really powerful things really quickly with this.
Yeah. The matter of fact is that when we use this kind of architecture with pieces, like you said, for example, I think you told us in the session, but it's really easy to make something using a Gen AI model and using text to speech or speech to text, right? So all of that, if you connect the pieces, you can have kind of an assistant talking to you and hearing what you have to say, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, absolutely.
Those are very, very interesting use cases. And what I have to say is that when you show all of this, we're focusing this kind of what we're doing, but I'm sure that people that are watching this already have notion or ideas of where to apply all of this.
Yeah, it'll be really exciting to see what developers come up with, you know, in the upcoming sessions, because yeah, it's always hard to imagine, and unusual things happen, right?
Yes, I was going to say there's a saying when you put something out there, it will be used in ways that you've never thought about, right?
Always, always.
So we can only imagine. I don't think we have more questions, at least not in the chat. I think also we are in the top of the hour. So I think I can take this moment to wrap up. So first of all, Darragh, thank you very much, you know, for joining us and delivering this section. So thank you very much.
You're welcome, and thank you for having me. And yeah, look forward to the next one.
Yeah. Oh, let's hope it doesn't take long to have that session. So by the way, this is the second session of this series. So if you didn't have the opportunity, you can go check the first. So it's in the same base. We're talking about the services, and then we will talk about how to implement that service in using OutSystems components, and then a demo. So it will be in the same way this one was. So thank you for being there. Thank you for watching us. Hopefully you get inspired. Darragh, once again, thank you very much. And thank all of you. Have a great day, everyone. Thank you very much. Bye-bye.